I just want to thank everybody I've ever met in my entire life.
There is a power.
Hello, fair people of the land of podcast.
The people who listen to us.
Yes, welcome back to Happy New Year, belatedly,
yes.
as it's almost March, our first episode of 2019. I suppose it's a day of Oscars.
Yes, it's an appropriate day to be recording.
Yeah, I suppose so, because the last one was the best of the year, and the Oscars are their own best of the year, nominally.
Yes.
And you've just come in the last 24 hours from a screening of something which isn't even out yet. So
yes.
We're very much on top of things. Would you care to take us away with Dragged Over Concrete?
Yes, all right. It was a very strange weekend. It felt like a very regressive weekend. I went from seeing If Beale Street Could Talk, which is amazing and really beautiful, look at race in America, to Dragged Over Concrete, which was essentially I
think you said to say stars Mel Gibson and Vince
yes,
Vaughn.
it was
pretty much enough
Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn,
give you the gist of it.
Who were there was so much wrong with this movie, but I sort of the most frustrating thing. So it's about these two American cops who pretty much get tired of not being paid enough for their job, spend sort of the first hour of the movie. This is a 2.5 hour movie, by the way.
God. Oh, no.
Yes, and also because it was a surprise film, no one knew it was going to be this long, so a lot of people missed their next film.
Oh no.
So this is terrible for so many reasons. Anyway,
I did think it was odd they put the surprise film so early this year. It's usually the last one, the second to last day maybe, but it's very near the start this year.
Yeah, it's quite strange. I was kind of thinking that there could be a few reasons for it. It seemed beforehand that they were maybe trying to streamline it a bit more.
Right.
But now I'm kind of like, do they know that the movie is going to be not very good?
What was your guess going in, as a matter of interest?
Yesterday, which
is that soon? When's that due out?
I don't know how soon, but I was thinking it kind of fit the bill because it's I don't know, British, kind of indie. Also, I'm sure it would probably be a crowd pleaser. I wouldn't be happy at all, but okay, to be honest, I would have much preferred to see a movie about a guy who somehow wrote the Beatles over what I saw. It does. But
a lot of people I know were expecting it to be the new Jordan Peele film, because obviously Get Out was a surprise a couple years ago, and I guess they'll be very disappointed that it wasn't that.
Yeah, no, I was hooking it would be Us, but I was also kind of they're not going to do the same director.
I suppose not.
3 years. No. And they didn't.
Hooray.
So yay, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, sorry. So this is a movie that has a 2 hour, I think it's actually 2 hours 40 minutes runtime.
It cannot. Okay, you can.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look
go
it
on.
up. That can't be
let's
true.
find out.
That's diabolical.
And probably the first hour is the two cops basically justifying why it's fine for them to want to.
Apologies, it's dragged across concrete, not dragged over concrete.
Yes, so that's the other thing. I keep getting the name wrong as well. But yeah, it's them basically justifying why they should become crooked cops. And Mel Gibson's reason.
Correct, an hour 40.
Yes, there
2
we
hours
go.
40. Good
Thank you.
Heavens.
Mel Gibson's reason for wanting to, basically deal in drugs is because his wife has multiple sclerosis, and his daughter has been assaulted 5 times in the last year by black boys in their neighborhood. And his wife at one point says, "I wish I didn't used to be racist, but since moving here, it's honestly that blatant. It's that just horrifically racist."
Before we started, I said we wouldn't do one thing, but I can't help but say, and Liam Neeson wasn't cast in this film. Shocking.
This is
I have to get it out there.
And
that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that sounds comical almost.
It's crazy. Yeah, and I mean the thing is as well. Actually, the dialogue is so horrifically stilted. There's one meeting with the sort of chief of police where literally the cops are going, "Yes, well, you can't do anything these days. You can't be seen beating up a crook because people will say that you have to be politically correct." It's that level of dialogue. And it's sort of waiting as well to go at some point, is this going to reveal itself to have been a lampoon the whole time. But like, no, it's just like, there's loads of racism, continues to be racism, and then it ends very racistly.
At least it's consistent.
Yes.
But what happens for 160 minutes?
Yeah. Well, seriously, it's like stakeouts for an hour. Then there's a horrific bank robbery where it's like mainly these like kind of mainly sort of European guys who are very trigger happy and just like, spoilers, massacre everyone in the bank. But also they kind of have two kind of grunts, I guess, who are the two black characters in the movie who like, so they're kind of bad, but to be honest, they're sort of just like going along with it. So it's even just more horrible because it's sort of like, these characters aren't like able to follow their own moral compass, essentially. Although then, spoiler alert again, because I don't give a crap. At the end,
people will. At
the end, it turns out one of the black characters is actually really intelligent all along, and this is sort of supposed to be like shock, as in like, wow, look, that black person was only using sort of like black dialect to get one over on the white guys, so he could get all the money at the end. So like, I don't know how this. To be honest, I don't know how this came out in the surprise cinema. It's the guy who made Bone Tomahawk. Oh,
that was quite good. It's probably, in hindsight, a bit racist also, but it's Native Americans. Everything is racist. But that was a decent, not unboring film. It was like 90 minutes.
There you go. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's an edit of this which is, I'm not going to say not racist, but like palatable.
Yeah, slightly better judged.
Yeah, because they cut out loads of the horrific dialogue and everything. But yeah, like, it's just pretty atrocious as it is.
Great.
Yeah. So anyway, that's probably enough ranting about that movie.
Well, but on that note, you were saying off mic how you've noticed a bit of a trend or a resurgence, I suppose, of the heist film.
Yes, that is very true.
I mean, what you just said about this film, it does definitely seem like an outlier to that bunch, given that it is just two white guys.
Yeah, but to be honest, it does sort of, I think it does kind of work as well, because it is essentially them being like, economic downturn means like we're the ones getting the short edge of the short stick or whatever. Does
it blame other races on that though?
I think ultimately, sort of.
Okay, just making sure it was like its thesis was consistent.
Well, I mean, like a lot of it is Mel Gibson's family not being able to live in a nice, i.e., white neighborhood. So and essentially him having been at the same pay grade for the last 30 years.
Right.
So I think there is very much a sense of like, white people are getting, elbowed out of the riches they deserve.
God, like that. It sounds like parody, but it's not.
No, yeah.
Because you were saying, like, compared to widows, even like widows, they are all ostensibly quite wealthy to start off, I suppose. But they're also, the point of that film is that they're people that get ignored because they're black or they're women,
and their wives as well. Like, who have no, I mean, I do agree. I think the other films have more legitimacy, like entirely. But I mean, the same with like Ocean's 8 and Logan Lucky. Like, definitely more about people who are at least more deserving of.
More deserving. Interestingly, all the characters in those films are also criminals at the start of the movies, whereas this one, they're cops.
That's a good point. Yes.
And yet they're the worst people of all.
Yeah,
which is very 2019. That's good.
Yeah. So don't see it, please. I'm fairly sure. I'm kind of hoping that it might not get a wide. Might not get a wide release, because it just seemed like everyone seemed to.
Did anyone walk out?
There was a couple of walkouts.
Good.
It was actually people were saying around the viewing quality. People were saying it was too dark, and it was actually a very dark movie visually as much as anything. So I don't know if there's walkouts for other reasons, but one person started clapping at the end and then stopped very suddenly, so that was kind of the
what was we'll move on to this in a minute. What was the in a way Granny Humphries gives her little intro speech at the start? Like, what did she say to justify this one? Because usually her speeches are fairly well fairly level-headed, and they
Yeah.
make a certain amount of sense. I'm struggling to see how she could justify this one.
Yeah, actually, it was interesting thinking on it after seeing this, because I think she said essentially she was talking about 1 year where everyone thought it was going to be Beauty and the Beast, and it
Yeah.
ended up being was it Get Out? I think that year, or like basically
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, so she was essentially saying, hopefully you'll come to this with an open mind.
Oh no.
Also, she was saying, oh, and there's you might all go home from this saying the catchphrase anchovies, because Vince Vaughn's character says anchovies a few times, but like it's literally in no way catchy, or there's
okay.
very little context for it.
Right.
So it, like, to be honest, it kind of felt like she didn't really know what to say.
Or what memes are. Well, that sounds like a disaster all around. Yes. Every year I'm always like, I should get a ticket for a surprise film, and every year I don't do it. I'm always like, oh, that's a pity. But this year I'm like, well, good.
Yeah, to be
Glad I missed that.
To be honest, it kind of put me off a little bit going back next
Oh, really?
year.
Wow.
I mean, hopefully, if they have realized like that was a terrible idea, let's get something that people might like, and maybe vet it to some degree before. Then I might.
Like,
I don't know.
I remember Whiskey Tango Foxtrot getting a sort of lukewarm reception after it was over, but this sounds much worse. The single clap is very funny.
Yes,
That's terrible. God.
But
Anyway.
there you go.
So from
But I'm sure
one-
everything else going on in the Dublin Film Festival is very good. So
I have
please do
a
check
short
things
list
out.
I keep hearing of films I'm dying to see based on reviews people have kind of put up from the festival so far. So yes.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And they're showing The Shining, I think, next week for the hell of
Nice.
it, which I might go to because
Yes.
it's always good to see with the crowd. But yes, from that Liam Neeson jive, quickly onto Cold Pursuit, which I wasn't going to watch. I was like, oh, I have a free day on Sunday, I'll go see something. So it was either Lego Movie 2 or that, and I went, I'll see Cold Pursuit. So this is shockingly a Liam Neeson revenge film. His wife or daughter aren't kidnapped or killed. It's his son this time, played by his real life son, I think.
Okay.
For the two scenes in it. Laura Dern plays the wife. She is, I don't know why she's there. She has maybe 3 scenes with a combined screen time of maybe 6 minutes.
Okay.
Maybe 14 lines of dialogue. I don't know why she's there. I really don't know why they bother getting Laura Dern. So Liam Neeson is a snowplow driver in Denver, I believe it is, and his son gets randomly killed by local gangsters. And then, of course, he's about to kill himself because he's like, well, my son is dead, and blah, blah, blah. And then he gets a lead on his son's... Because his son was framed as having killed himself with a heroin overdose, but it was actually murder. And then Liam goes on a revenge path to kill his way up the drug chain. And then in the process of it starts a gang war between the local white drug dealers. Yes. Never a good prefix. And the kind of warring Native American tribes who owned the land previously, but the main villain's father made a deal with their leader, and it's all been peaceful, but now... They think the Liam murders are the Native Americans killing their guy, so it's a big, dodgily, racially coded gang war. The main problem I have with this is the previews were very positive, and everyone's saying that it's based on a Scandinavian film starring one of the Skarsgårds. I forget which one. There's so many of them, which is sort of a Blackley comic thing, and everyone's saying, yeah, this is quite Blackley comic too. And I was kind of surprised with that because the last few Liam Neeson films. The Commuter was actually okay. The rest of them have been a bit boring. So black comedy sounds like a good route to go for if he's going to keep doing this action movie thing. The comedy, if it's there, was incredibly minimal.
Okay.
I didn't really notice it. I was quite bored. It's long. It's over 2 hours, or it's at least sort of like 25 minutes like on the dot. It's definitely at least 2 hours. And he's not in it that much because it focuses on the side characters a lot because there's so many factions and... characters in each faction to get through that they end up piling all these character stuff moments together, and there's like chunks where Liam Neeson's just not on screen, and that's like neither here nor there, I suppose. But it's odd, to make it like a Liam Neeson like murder vehicle when he's not in it any more than like say the main villain is.
The
main villain is interesting. I'll look up his name quickly because his performance is. It's like someone decided to do a Heath Ledger Joker impression and just didn't break it for 2 straight hours. And it's like his vocals, his exact vocal manner are just a Heath Ledger Joker impersonation, but he's like a guy in a business suit, and it's just... I don't know why that choice was made, and it's really, really distracting. He's not a bad actor, though. He's just... It's an odd choice to have made. Tom Bateman. I saw one review say that it's just his audition tape for the next Batman movie, but it's not, because it's just doing an old version of that. It's not interesting. The murders are kind of fun in like a slasher movie way, but even then it cuts away an awful lot instead of showing a lot of the more gorier elements. It also has this really kind of cringy laddish humor, not laddish even, like cringy Ricky Gervais-esque humor where there's little jokes where they don't go so far with them as to be actively offensive, but they're going far enough in a sort of like, oh, are you triggered? Are you offended?
Okay.
And like, I'm not. I'm just kind of embarrassed for you because that joke wasn't funny and you didn't even like commit to it hard enough for it to be extreme. But then also it does this little thing where it focuses a lot on the wives of characters, which I thought was kind of interesting, and apart from Laura Dern, who's a sideline immediately.
Oh, okay.
And it was kind of interesting because it sort of subverts some little small villain moments where he like goes to hit his wife or his ex-wife because that's obviously the sign that it's the third act and he's really angry, but then she like dodges it and like hits on the balls and says, oh, that's kind of a nice little minor subversion. But every female character is also like this nagging, awful harpy of a woman. So it's like, well, you've undone what little good you had done. And it's a really dodgy joke where Liam Neeson kidnaps the main villain's son, who's like an 8-year-old child, and the kid's like a neglected kid. He doesn't like his father, and he's always out doing business and whatever. And he like takes a shine to Liam Neeson, and he's like reading a bedtime story after he's kidnapped him, and the kid's just like kind of cuddling on him, and he goes, "Have you heard of the Stockholm syndrome?" The kid says that.
Okay.
And like,
that's not something kids can
say.
No,
and it sort of has slightly dodgy paedophilic implications if you think about it too hard, because Stockholm syndrome usually means
yeah.
So that's a weird line that they gave to like a 7-year-old kid. That's the level the comedy's kind of at. It's just like, I can see how that could be funny. It's not. And the Native American stuff is weird because they're trying to. There's one good joke about reservations that I'm not going to try and redo because it's a bit long, but that's quite clever. Other than that, though, it's odd that the film is not actively racist. Maybe not quite the level of concrete is.
Not much is.
But it's certainly not progressive. And then it tries to have these weird moments where it's like extended passage of the Native Americans just like having fun on what is like quote unquote their land. I was like, what are you doing with this film? I don't understand. And then like two of the gangsters are just, it's just thrown that they're gay, and that's only there to give one the motivation that everyone gets killed. And what is the point of any of this? So it's kind of overwritten and just weirdly structured. I thought it wasn't very funny. I thought it was kind of quite boring. A lot of really misjudged humor. So yeah, no, it's no good.
Oh, yeah.
Of the recent Liam Neeson movies, The Commuter's still the best one.
Okay.
And actually has something to say about race. So maybe watch that one instead.
Wow.
So yeah, Commuter, no good.
Yeah. I think more and more, it feels like Liam Neeson's like art is really coming to follow his life, or did I say it the right way around? Life following art following life. Just, I mean, it's just like, well, I mean, obviously this like weird revenge thing that's happened in real life is oddly parallel.
Given some context,
but yeah, but it's also just the thing of like he's obviously had a lot of tragedies in his life, and it's like, how is it that he keeps doing this in his work as well? Like, what is this? My question. Like,
if that works for him, fine.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Odd, very odd.
There you go.
Yeah, so from one not good thing to some other, some good things. Well, okay, let's do a quick like kind of Netflixy roundup with a non-Netflix in there. So
yes, spot the non-Netflix. Yeah. We'll probably tell you what it is.
A good review, probably.
Yes.
So Netflix films have not been good of late. I'm not going to bother reviewing them. Polar is actually basically the same as Cold Pursuit, except worse. It's really garish. Mads is fine, otherwise it's crap. Velvet Buzzsaw had so much good so much good sort of will and hype towards it.
Really
it's the Nightcrawler guy, it's Gyllenhaal, it'll be good. And it's so flat, it's so boring. It's like, what a waste of a cast. Like Toni Collette, Gyllenhaal, Rene Russo, John Malkovich, someone else. It's crazy good cast, wasted.
So it's also a very Nocturnal Animals type thing as well. Or sounds.
I think I like that more than you did.
No, I know. I'm just thinking like, well, that was kind of the tone that I kind of thought was coming across. Like whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. Just that was what I kind of thought was coming from it.
From the trailer, like.
Yeah.
Nocturnal Animals, I kind of liked the tone of it. Like it was kind of creepy, and it was sort of more horror inflected to a point. Velvet Buzzsaw is trying to be very tongue in cheek. It's trying to look like almost like one of those latter day Nightmare on Elm Street movies where it's very self aware and murdery, but I've heard people describe it as like the movie itself is the joke because you're expecting it to be some kind of hierarchy. This is a really trashy horror movie, but it's not. That's fine. That's your intention is to make the whole thing a practical joke. But if the actual content is still quite boring, then it doesn't work.
Yeah, kind of pointless, really. Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's rubbish.
Fair enough.
Then slightly better things, which is actually the TV portion, I suppose, of Netflix, is where it kind of seems to be doing better. So Bandersnatch, you had some thoughts on, I believe.
Yeah. Actually, well, this was one where I kind of felt like it was neither as good nor as bad as anyone was kind of describing it. I thought it was quite interesting. Like, there's quite a few things that have similar kind of themes going through them at the moment. So, like, there's Bandersnatch, Russian Doll, and Happy Death Day to You. Like, obviously, those two are more birthday themed, but
yes, and groundhog themed.
Yes, but like
Groundhog Day, not just the animal. Sorry, go on.
But also, like, they're all about mothers at the end of it. It's all about like quite a lot of like flashbacks and stuff like that. And I don't know whether I liked that or not. Like I think it's like powerfully done, but I'm also wondering, like, am I going to get a bit bored of everyone wants their mommy? I don't know. I mean, everyone does want their mommy, so it's true. I don't know. What, any thoughts yourself?
I hadn't thought you were saying it there, but they are all kind of centered on similar things, except in Russian Doll and Happy Death Day, and I haven't seen the sequel, but going with the first one, I presume it'll carry on the second one. It's sort of about characters bettering themselves and then fixing it out, whereas Bandersnatch is the male character, and the quote-unquote best endings or real endings are the ones where he murders everyone.
That's a great point, yeah.
Like Bandersnatch, I don't know. I think if it wasn't tied to Black Mirror, I'd be able to give it a better assessment. Because I agree with you that it's neither as good nor as bad as I was hoping it would be. Because it was really bad, it was interesting. It was really good, it was interesting. It's kind of fine, but I thought the endings. This is the thing about interactive media.
Yeah.
If we're taking, there's kind of 2 or 3 that I think are considered the main quote unquote endings, and they're all the negative ones. Because the real ones seem like really hard to get joke endings almost. Everything works out okay.
Yeah.
But taking those as the real endings, they are very Black Mirror, and it's very in keeping with that sort of almost black joke humor of having a dark ending, and that's fine. Like, I did enjoy my 2 hours with it as I was doing it, but I agree with you. I hope it isn't going to be an ongoing thing. And also, I really hate when they do something like this, where it's an adventure game style TV show that you watch and play through, but the story itself is about someone making an adventure game style TV show. Like,
Yeah.
Can't you just have a narrative that isn't tied to the core concept you're also narrativizing? That does seem weird to me.
That's fair, yeah. It's not like you can go very far with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I didn't hate it. I do think it's actually quite well done in terms of... I like David Slade anyway. Like, his direction was good. Sean Whitehead is quite good. What's his face? Everyone hated Sid from Toy Story. Will Porter.
Yeah, I like him.
He was great. No, I love him. I think he's really good. I did enjoy it. But just thinking about it in comparison to the other two now, that's bad. That the male character gets the murder everyone.
Yeah, that's true.
But that was very fitting for his character. So
true. Yeah. I do. Yeah, I thought as well. Like, I don't know whether I'm right or not here, but I felt like early on it was very clever in the way it kind of built on repetition. I remember the first sort of ending I got was one of the boring ones where he goes to make it and then he just gets 2 out of 5 in the reviews. So because that happened, then he went, okay, I'm going to go back and do it again, and repeating the same sort of strand. It's actually he is reliving it, so he recognizes things he didn't recognize first time, and things are slightly different, which I thought that was a really kind of clever commentary on like choose your own adventure stories. But I think that then stopped at some point, and then it just becomes him going, or you just go through different loops and there's no recognition that you've done this before.
Yeah, no, I agree
so
with
that was a really cool concept that I understand. It's obviously, as the game within the game it's really hard to add all these extra options, but I was kind of like, you had a really cool idea that you then dropped. That's kind of disappointing, but they were trying something.
I think that's more there. It's almost just to train you into the game.
Whereas
I think you're right. Like, it would have been better if that was part of the actual narrative. Like, there's a couple of points where he seems to recognize things later on, or when Porter's character vanishes, he kind of stays vanished in certain alterations, even if you don't like choose that. So there is some little bits of it near the end, but I agree, like it definitely does fall off pretty quickly. And even, I don't know, there wasn't... The fact that there's no definitive ending, I think, is a problem, because it means the framing device doesn't wholly work, and the fact that there's that point where there's kind of like a three-way choice of either his father is some kind of conspiracy thing, there is some kind of experiment happening to him, or it's actually a demon, or like there's three very different narratives, all of which are simultaneously true depending on what you do with them. That I kind of hate. Like I think there should be one grounding element that then can be interpreted different ways, but if it's three simultaneously separate just storylines that don't really emerge till you choose them to emerge, that just takes away from it in my mind. But still, it was decent. It was no Russian doll. Russian doll was great.
Yes, it really was.
I wasn't going to watch it. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was some like weird little German sci-fi or something. And like, oh no, it's what's her face from Orange Is the New Black. And it's only 8 episodes. Only half an hour long each. That's great. It's so short.
Yeah.
And it was genuinely like quite emotionally affecting and really funny. And
that's it.
Because I know we're going to talk about Happy Death Day to You in a minute, and I didn't love the first one. I didn't hate it. I thought it was fine. It was like enjoyable enough, but I thought the concept just wasn't utilized that well. It was fairly just because when the setup was that it's a slasher movie, but Groundhog Day is it. Cool, great, look forward to that. But then it never became more than that. It was just that sales pitch, and that was it. Like it never developed anything else. Whereas Russian Doll, I don't know, it just... Yeah,
it becomes a lot of different things.
Yeah, and I think it has a really just satisfying arc to it. Whereas Happy Death Day did not have that, because I think that main character is quite cool. I like her.
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Tree, yes.
I remember the thing. Like, she's an interesting little character, I suppose. I think the world around her just wasn't interesting enough to kind of
that's fair.
Carry it, and that's why I like the sequel. Even though I'm intrigued by the genre switch, that sounds kind of fun. But yeah, Russian Doll, I adored it. I absolutely loved it. Just don't make any more of them.
That's a fair point.
Looking forward to Haunting of, is it Bly Manor? Is it in the next one?
Is it? Oh, wow.
At least it's a different family and they can't reference Shirley Jackson again.
Yeah, that's very true.
I'm sure it'll still be terrible. Anyway, sorry, you go.
I don't know. I mean, I suppose I don't really have that much more to say about Happy Death Day, really. Like, Happy Death Day to You. I did enjoy it more, but I think it is probably the first movie was because Tree is like a really kind of interesting character, and actually I think what's kind of nice is at the beginning of the second one, she's explaining like basically all the horrible things she did previously and how she's a much nicer person now, and it's weird because it probably shouldn't have worked. Because it's such, like, obviously in terms of it being regular chronology, it's like she becomes a 100% nicer person in a day. Yeah. But, I mean, she's actually a great actor, and the movie, I think, is set up well enough that it's believable. So actually what's nice about the second movie is, as I suppose, actually having knowledge of the first one and being like, looking at the ways it's kind of added or nuanced to that world. But again, like, I'm also not really a fan of, you have to watch this before you can watch this. So it's definitely not, like, necessary viewing. But I think if you enjoyed the first one, the second one is definitely worth a watch, basically. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing it at some point. Yeah, I might go see it or catch it on Netflix or something. But, it's intriguing that they've got a sequel out that fast and that they're now planning a third one. Yeah. Which maybe stop. But
exactly, yeah.
You've managed to get out this twice. That's an absurdly good run given the concept you're working with.
Very true, yeah. And I mean, I suppose the other thing is like that I did enjoy that they bring in the sci-fi element this time, so it's another dimension as well as time travel. But at the same time, like, they're really stretching what they can do. It was enjoyable, but I think if they try to add more things to it, it might not work anymore.
I think the director said he wants to do one a year. Good luck. But like switch genre every time. So the first one's horror, this one is sci-fi. I'm not sure what you do next because as far I've spoiled the whole film myself. I know what the post-credits scene is. Like that sounds like you'd have to just do sci-fi again, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like fantasy? I don't know.
Yeah, and actually the post-credits sequence would maybe imply like a more horrifying version of sci-fi, but still sci-fi. Yes. So yeah, see what they do there with that.
I suppose just on the last bit of Netflixy talk, Fire. Now, neither of us watched the Hulu Fire documentary. No. We both watched the other Fire documentary. It's hard to assess if it's a good or bad documentary.
Yes.
I just had good fun watching it, but I don't know if it is a good or bad documentary.
Yeah.
But then again, I still recall the day when this first started happening and in real time watching all the tweets, and it was great. It was so funny. And whatever it is now, a year and a half later, and it's... The one thing I think worth bringing up about it is that one guy whose name I don't know, the Evian dick suck guy, you know, who's now become an unfortunate meme. Because I know I have since seen, because that's obviously been the most talked about bit of it, and they've been analysing it to death, and apparently it was initially not going to make the cut, and I fully see why it wasn't. Okay. I kind of think maybe it shouldn't have made the cut, even though I do still recall watching it and just my jaw dropping and kind of like awkwardly laughing as he was talking about it, because it's so horrific. And then he just kind of starts laughing because like, what else do you do? Yeah. But then also there's an interesting conversation about the fact that if that was a female character, if that was a woman talking, that would be
a real life character,
a real life human woman. That would be like rightly framed as a really horrifying thing. Whereas
that's a very good point.
It's male sexual assault, it's kind of joked about. Even though I don't want to defend it, but I do think that the sort of the meme, the joke, isn't his suffering, but just the absurdity of the request he was given. I think if it actually had happened, it wouldn't be funny, which doesn't really justify it. But I think the fact that it's just him explaining a stupid thing that he was told to do, that's sort of just amusing its absurdity. But I'm not. Yeah, it is interesting that male sexual assault does get often lampooned, whereas if you did swap the genders of that interaction, it would be much different.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, no, it was funny. I think the last little half an hour of it is especially funny when it's Ja Rule just being all like, we'll try it again, we'll do it again. And also that bit where it wasn't fraud, we just lied to people every day. It's like, no, that's fraud. And he says it on like a recorded phone message. That was like happening in a room that had a microphone in it. Madness, utter
Amazing.
madness.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I remember the sort of, I was going to say the character as well. The person,
it's hard, right?
Yeah, it's really hard. The person who was, I found kind of most compelling was the guy who, like, I suppose by the end they all seem to have about a million jobs, but he seemed to be the guy who was sending the emails, as it were. Who was for a long time kind of saying like, guys, if we didn't let more people onto this island, like, there's not going to be enough beds, there's not going to be enough food, there's not going to be enough anything. Then eventually I think he kind of said, okay, that's it, I'm done, and walked away. I was believing him the whole time. And then afterwards I was like, should I have been? I don't know. I mean, not to cast aspersions on any of them, but it's also just like, have I just, is this part of a big PR stunt that they've just pulled a wall over my eyes as much as they did anyone else? But like, I don't know, it was very fascinating, and also just like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to take from it in a certain way.
I think that's why people say the Hulu one's better, because the Hulu one apparently delves more into sort of social media and like FOMO culture and sort of the psychology of our generation, quote unquote, that allowed this to happen, or not allowed to happen, but that like left the groundwork there for someone to exploit that via marketing. Whereas I think the Netflix one is more just, it's like, look at this shit. Like there's not really a great like thesis to it. It is just, this was ridiculous. Look at this. Because even the very end where the guy that was in charge of, the guy that wasn't Ja Rule, the guy that invented the metal credit card, whatever his name was. Yeah,
the business guy.
Mr. Business.
I think this is Dan.
Let's go
Business Dan.
Business Dan. Because even then, like, his comeuppance is sort of not really there.
No,
he's in court and he's facing jail time, but then also when they go to interview him for the last time, he has like a new apartment and he's got like a new team around him. Like, so no lessons were learned, nothing changes. It's great.
And I mean, there's also that kind of thing of like, oh, he was a wonderful businessman with his whole life in front of him. And it's like, he potentially could have murdered a bunch of, like, loads of people. Sorry, maybe not murder. He could have, a lot of people could have died.
Something like that would have been murder, I think. That would have been manslaughter for sure.
Yes, quite possibly. Yeah, exactly.
The other like one moment that really stands out is that the restaurant owner, when she like just like breaks down, that's when it kind of goes, this isn't funny anymore.
Yeah, no,
I feel people got harmed in this. This is no good.
And I think actually the moment that for me was just like, what is going on? Was it was during the 24 hours or whatever when everyone was on the island, and they were talking to one of the customers, patrons, I don't know what you call them, people who went,
influencers.
Yes, he was saying that him and his friends or whatever, they ran around stealing everyone's mattresses. And I was just like, everything else that has happened so far is understandable in terms of like, yes, you want to have enough food and whatever to water, but like, why steel mattresses? And you've only been here for about 12 hours. Like, it's
like as a bit of like anthropology, it's quite interesting to see how quickly modern man evolved. Are they the same people that were they slicing tents open in like a circumference around their tents and don't want to stay in it? Yeah,
that was, I think it was him.
Nonsense.
Like,
that's
what?
absolutely absurd.
Like, oh god, yeah, it kind of makes you despair.
I'm sad no one died. They all should have died.
That guy should have.
He definitely should have.
So yeah. So what are we up for next?
Okay, so let's quickly do a bit of Irish cinema, given that we are the Film Ireland podcast.
Yes.
So I recently saw Cellar Door, which I don't think is still in cinemas, but I'm sure it'll be on VOD or something soon. It is. Do you know what this is at all?
It's a horror, I understand.
Correct, yes.
But that's about all I know.
So it's actually fitting in very well with the current crop of time looping things. It's sort of a Groundhog Day-y thing also, but about a Magdalene laundry.
Yes, okay.
So you see the main character kind of go through one quick set of events where she gets pregnant and then put in the laundry and then escapes or gets let out with no child. And then it loops back and shows the whole thing again, but she kind of remembers it, and then it does that 2 or 3 times. And I think the actual horror element of it it's sort of hard to talk about without spoiling it, because there's a twist near the end that explains the Groundhog Daying.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought...
which is kind of brave.
Yeah, they rarely do that, and I think it was actually quite good, because it was quite satisfying as a way of explaining it. Like, it was quite solid and like kept the loose ends all pretty neatly tied up. But that's where for me the horror comes in, because it's more just of like a thriller or psychological drama up to that point, just with a weird structure. Like, the actual horror is very minimal. There's like 2 jump scares maybe, but it's not really even tonally it isn't much of a horror. Like, it is just more of a drama or a psychological thriller with a weird structure. And I have to say, like, between this and the likes of Kissing Candies last year, I am quite heartened to see Irish cinema taking serious topics and making weird genre shifts with them. Because, like, the Magdalene laundries are horrible, and it's a horrifying bit of our history. And there have been a few films made about them. But they're always kind of quite, I don't mean this like offensively, but they're a bit dry, and that I understand their impetus. It's the idea that it's such a horrifying thing that all you can really do is just like very blankly show it and expect that horror to carry through. And that's fair enough, but I think that kind of leaves the audience kind of at one remove. Whereas if you do it like a sort of like this kind of horror thing, it's more immediate. And I think even if you're not directly showing the real events or the real day-to-day mundanity of that horror, I think you're putting the audience in a kind of panicked horror state, which is more evocative of the kind of emotions women would have felt in those places. So I think that's really good. I'm glad it exists, and I do think it's worth watching. I don't want to spoil it, but also it's really hard to talk about it without spoiling it. Do you care? Anyone else want to plug their ears?
I kind of would like to see it now.
Okay,
but
I won't say it, but it's worth it.
Okay,
it's worth all things I'll say. Yeah, because
it sounds very compelling already. Like, I think you've already sold it.
It's quite compelling. The one thing I say that annoyed me is that they do the sort of the run through a few times, and I think the usual rule is, as with comedy, 3 is enough. So like you do 3 versions of the loop. They do a 4th version of the loop, and at that point I was kind of losing patience with it, and then they explain the twist like right after that, so it was fine.
Okay.
But it was just getting to the point of being obnoxious when it stopped, which was alright, but like it was right to the line. But yeah, no, it is definitely worth a look, and again, I'm just glad to see Irish cinema taking some weird risks, even though I know for a fact this probably failed, because I saw it in Dundrum, which is a fairly standard multiplex, so you can always judge a more mainstream audience by that kind of place.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people in the screen. I think I counted 2 walkouts, and then some people behind us were very loudly whispering how much they hated it and how bored they were. It's like, yeah, this isn't going to work. I am loving it. I think this is great. So yeah, I do understand why there's a certain hesitation around making weird Irish cinema, but I'm hoping they'll keep doing it anyway, because it's better than just really dry small town Ireland dramas, which we get a million of. But yeah, that's Cellar Door. People should support local cinema. Sarah, Lego Movie 2.
Yes. So this is, I feel like this is kind of fitting in with more of our themes that we've been talking about
very
tonight.
accidentally good at this.
We really
yes.
are. Yeah, so I think as a sequel, it's also like Happy Death Day to You, kind of quite similar to the first one. So if you enjoyed the first one, you'll probably enjoy this one quite a lot as well. It also, does like quite a good job, I think, like Happy Death Day to You does as well, of sort of lampooning kind of cine bro culture. So in the Lego Movie 2, Ethan, who's Chris Pratt's character, who we obviously don't like Chris Pratt anymore, but let's...
Some of us never did.
No, exactly. But, it's the Lego Movie is still okay, I think. Chris Pratt has... So, Ethan, his character, has sort of this, like, double in the movie. Is Rex Dangervest, who's, like, basically Chris Pratt's character from, like, every movie, every kind of action hero movie he's been in now.
Of course.
The movie is kind of quite a good lampoon of just this idea that movies have to be like edgy and dark in order to be good or like interesting, I suppose, especially to kind of like young male audiences. But it also does quite a good job of being like, it's the way they set up the joke. It's quite good for, I think, all audiences, because they leave it quite obvious that it's Chris Pratt again, but then later on they do a shock reveal that it's Chris Pratt. So everyone is
really
letting
good.
in the joke,
Yeah.
and no one's left to feel silly in any way. And it's quite fun. I'd kind of forgotten that I enjoyed the first one, and so I was like, this is really quite wonderful. Which is nice. So I don't know. All I can say is I have quite good things to say about it.
Yeah, what little I've heard about it, I do think sounds quite good. I like the setup of them actually keeping the plot kind of continuing from the rest of the sister coming in, and is it Sea Star? Is that the name of the rival galaxy or something?
Oh yeah.
That's kind of cute. So I do want to see it at some point. Yeah. But I made my choice and saw Cold Pursuit.
Yes.
So yes, I think one more quick review, then we get into the Oscar stuff. So Destroyer is a film I'm kind of baffled wasn't nominated for anything, because it seemed to come out just as the Oscar season deadline was coming up, so it would have been eligible as far as I'm aware. It is, let me just quickly check the notes of who made it. Directed by Karen Kusama. I believe written by her too, or is it? No, written by other people. But sorry, Nicole Kidman, and it's Nicole Kidman as you've never seen her before, i.e. in a very weird makeup set where she looks really old, and not old, but it's like she's been sandblasted and dehydrated.
It was very much an Oscar baity.
It seemed
visual.
Exactly. Attractive woman gets ugly. Oh, here are Oscars. I would say she's actually like phenomenally good in it, and it's also a dual timeline stranded film.
Oh my.
But no, this one isn't. It isn't like looping back on stuff. Oh well, no. I suppose it kind of does. It's sort of a stupid twist to do it what's happening when at the very end, but it doesn't really add anything to it. So ostensibly it is a crime drama where she is in the past an undercover cop with her boyfriend, played by Sebastian Stan. His name there for a second. And they go undercover into this organization and then get too deep into it, and there's a bank heist.
Okay, yes.
And they decide that, you know what, as cops, they aren't being paid enough, and they're going to just abscond with the money and live happy ever after. Wow, Sarah, you really just hit up on something here. But something goes wrong in some vague way. We're not told about it till the very end, and so most of it's happening in the present, where she's all world weary and withered up and a badass, just killing people for no reason. Does she kill people? She beats them up anyway.
Good.
No, it is good. And it's really good. It's probably most similar to Sicario, the first Sicario.
Okay.
It has like a very sort of dread-inducing, sort of vague, a very kind of vague atmosphere of it's bad and it's scary, but you're not really sure why. It's a kind of good mood piece. Again, I think there's the weird little twist at the end, which sort of messes with the structure a bit, is really pointless and doesn't really add anything to it. It's a nice to kind of alright as it kind of happens, but otherwise it changes literally nothing about the film.
Okay.
Kidman is amazing. I'm sort of surprised she got nominated, even somehow for best supporting in her own film would have been sensible given the Oscars weird rules. I can only assume, given that it was directed by a woman, that's why it was ignored roundly, as all films were this year.
Likely, yes.
Because it isn't entirely dissimilar to You Were Never Really Here. in terms of just being a female-directed, very hard, brutal film that's not necessarily fun to watch, but is very engaging. And there's also a really good bank heist sequence in that one.
Yeah,
where she doesn't kill everybody, but it's probably quite similar to like Heat, where it was just it's very intense and really well shot. And the overall has I think Sicario is probably the closest guard. It's like aesthetically, it's very deserty and pretty, and but you know, I'm kind of shocked that it just came and went so fast.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
Nicole Kidman, I thought, did the kids not like her? Yeah. She was an Aquaman. The people not like Nicole Kidman. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. But again, I'm just baffled by a lot of films I like just vanishing without a sight, whereas everything else does really well on their shit.
There you go.
Speaking of doing well on our shit, do you have any final thoughts for the Oscars?
I don't know. I guess we can probably just jump into the Oscars, really.
Right. So, on balance, I suppose let's just out of the way. Neither of us saw all the Best Picture nominations, nor do we care to.
Yes.
I'll just bring up the list for the sake of having it. The 8 were Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favourite, Black Panther, Black Klansman, Green Book, Vice, Star is Born, Roma. I have seen Roma, Black Klansman, Black Panther, and The Favourite.
Yes, I have seen those.
And nothing else.
I don't think so.
Right. I'd actually meant to see Vice because I'd heard that was not uninteresting, but not like great, but like, fine. Star is Born, I never intend to see.
Yeah,
even though apparently I'm sure it's perfectly competently put together, it's just aggressively not my kind of film. And the rest, I was never going to watch. Bohemian Rhapsody, winner of Best Editing, 2019, despite that now infamous clip going around of the bit where, have you seen that clip?
I've seen a few clips now. Is this the one with Aidan Gillen?
Yeah, I was going to say with Littlefinger.
Yeah.
Where there's like a cut every half a second, and it's
someone,
awful.
Yeah, someone like it's a like seen in a cafe, and someone points out it's like when the waiter puts a cup on the table, that gets a cut.
And they all like cut, like looking towards the cup, looking away from it's dreadful. It's again, it's almost like comedy. Actually, I saw someone put up a clip from, what's that? Is it Steve Brule?
Might be.
Is that who plays him? Who plays Steve Brule?
John C. Reilly.
Brains no good, not working on Mondays. Yes, that's Steve Brule, isn't it? John C. Reilly.
Yes,
so
yeah.
It was clip of like his show where it's just him looking around like 5 different cameras and
going
really fast, and I was like,
Bohemian
Rhapsody. Yes, so I feel bad like shitting on a film neither I've seen, but
yeah,
I'm just glad in the Best Picture.
I feel like there's been enough of it shared around that you kind of get enough of an impression.
The editing, that's baffling, but I'm even more baffled by Malik winning, just because I quite like him, but any clip I've seen of that film, he seems woefully miscast. He's just the prosthetic teeth and the weird unplaceable accent he's doing, which sort of sounds like Freddie Mercury every like 5th word, but otherwise just sounds like Rami Malek doing a weird accent. And I don't know. It's like he looks great. Like he looks like Freddie Mercury when he's like doing the dancing and he has the mustache and all. He looks like he just looked the part, but just I don't know. If I'd actually watched the full film, I'd have been very distracted by his performance. I think it's odd that it won Best Actor.
Yeah.
I suppose we discussed some of the films that we actually did see, and that one thing. I guess probably start with Spider-Verse, since that won Best Animated Feature.
Yes.
Deservedly, I think.
Yeah, it is very good. Like, I have my own unfortunate reservations about it.
Please, this is what you're here for. Go for it.
I think so much of it is wonderful. It's obviously great to see like main character being like a boy of color, and like a new Spider-Man as well. That like there's so much that's great. But what I really kind of got in my craw was just his father is police chief, and one of the story strands that goes through it as a result is sort of like this love-hate relationship with the police, and I just don't like that America can't get away from like these stories within their otherwise very good movies a lot of the time.
I do feel like in like a Batman story or even a regular universe Spider-Man story, the love-hate police thing sort of makes sense. It does feel incredibly tone deaf in this day and age to have like a non-white protagonist having a sort of bit of a playful laugh at the cops. Like, no, if he was real, he'd be shot.
Yeah.
So I hadn't thought of it until you said it to me a few weeks ago. I was like, oh yeah, that's this kind of ruined it a bit. But otherwise, I agree. Like it's stunning looking. I don't know how they managed to like mix and match that many different animation styles and it like look visually cohesive.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
Mm.
One of the better use of Nick Cage in recent years.
It was very
as just
good.
I guess kind of like a Batman wannabe.
Actually, like knowing really nothing about the comics, when I went in and like, you know, this isn't much of a spoiler, especially since probably everyone's seen it by now. But when they like killed Spider-Man, I was like, holy shit! Like this is big. I mean, like, it turned out to be less big, but at the same time, it was still like, okay, like they're sort of killing off Spider-Man. That's sort of brave.
They killed off as Spider-Man.
They did, and he seemed like a nice Spider-Man.
Yeah, that one was voiced by one of the Chris's. Which one?
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Which one was Kirk? Chris Pine.
Okay.
That was him, yeah. And then Oscar Isaacs was the post-credits one.
Okay.
The 2009 one. Yeah, no, like really good cast. And I agree with you that I think if I was like a small child watching it, that would have been a holy shit moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's got a rough death from memory too.
Yeah.
Like it's not overdone, but it's understated enough that it's quite brutal.
Yes.
That whole Kingpin design actually was just quite upsetting. He's too big.
Oh, far too big.
It's really awful to look at.
That's it. Yeah.
But you know, it is
I mean,
good.
yeah, it's actually. I know there's been like some talk about like remaking it live action. I mean, I know there's always talk about these
mentioned
things
that for years.
but I mean, like that's one thing where it's like cannot do that. It's no longer possible.
If they did live action, they just get D'Onofrio back and just let him do it.
Yeah.
Well, they would have been like square foam suits.
Yeah. That's it. It's not able to fit through doors.
No. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what comes of it though, because I know they've mentioned doing like a Gwen spin-off now, and I'd quite like to see that because I really like her design and I think she was good fun in the movie too.
Yeah, that's good.
Also, of course, Mahershala Ali's in this one.
Yeah.
Not what he won the Oscar for though.
No. Was he nominated?
For this? No.
Yeah, no. Okay.
That would have been ridiculous.
That's fair. Yeah. Did you find I don't know if this is me being nitpicky now, but there was sort of a bit of a hierarchy between the animation styles. Like there was obviously there's a core cast of like 6 different Spider-Men who came together. Spider people, sorry. But like the more realistic ones, as it were, were very much more fleshed out, whereas Spider-Pig was a Spider-Pig. I feel like was that his name? He probably wasn't called Spider-Pig.
Peter Porker.
Peter Porker, yes.
The Spider-Ham, yes. Well, I'm not sure, like, because that's sort of a one-note joke character. Like,
it really was, to be fair.
Even though they do try and give him like a tragic backstory, and it's like one line of dialogue, which like completely changed how you look at him. But yeah, I suppose Nick Cage is sort of also very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And I forget the name of the anime one with her robot.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, no, I think you're not wrong, and that's probably another like thing to do with like audiences and not wanting to alienate them by having like, weird shit all the time. But yeah, I'm dying to watch it again because it just looked so good. Such a good soundtrack.
No, it was lovely.
Just a very pleasant film to be around. Actually, do we have any negative Oscar reviews to go through? I don't think we do. What did you hate, Sarah, of these massive achievements in cinema the last year?
Well, you know, as someone who has, you know, would like to just ridicule these people who've put huge years of time and experience into these movies, I feel like I don't know. I think I think I have a lot more to say about Green Book, which is something I didn't see that I do.
Let's just do that now then, because let's sandwich films we haven't seen around films we have seen. So Green Book.
Well, yeah, I suppose which we should talk about because it did just win Best Picture.
Now, my understanding of how this happened is that the Oscars is like some kind of weird preferential vote system whereby if there's no clear winner, whatever's in the middle kind of wins. Okay. And this was definitely a year of like no clear favourites.
Except for the favourite.
I hate those. Yeah, because I think like Roma and The Favourite and probably Bohemian Rhapsody were sort of all vying for a top spot, and then the fact that none of them got it clearly. Well, see, I think Roma was a bit of a misnomer because I think they nominated that in Best Foreign Language Film, knowing full well they wouldn't have to give it a Best Picture then, which seems like a bit of a consolation prize almost, but whatever. Actually, did we review that last time?
I think we might have talked about it a little bit.
Did we? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
In that case, moving on. But yeah, I quite like Roma.
Visually,
Looked
really
good.
nice. Yeah.
I kind of wish she'd won for Best Actress. That would have been really good.
That would have been, yeah.
But also, I'm glad of who did win, so it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Roma, fine. Green Book. I'm never going to watch it. I don't want to watch it.
No.
I definitely recall when it first started getting traction and kind of going, that can't possibly make it all the way to the top. I was sort of baffled that when it got nominated at all, and now that it's won, it's just... I will say, and this isn't necessarily a pat on the back of the Academy, because they still clearly need desperate reform, but at least for kind of the culture around the Oscars, which is itself its own like weird little cinephile bubble anyway, which isn't really reflective of the actual year's best films. It was instantaneous. Like the second it won, everyone was like, "Well, that was
that is true.
Wrong
that
call."
is very true. Yeah,
Most years it takes a week or two, maybe, or even a year. For them to go, oh yeah, that did win last year. This was like immediately what.
Yeah, actually, I saw someone say it was like when your film wins, and the first thing everyone does is talk to Spike Lee. Like you know something's gone wrong.
And he was so drunk, and he just did not care. It was great.
That's amazing.
A few short clips of interviews, and he's just laughing and running around the place, and he seems like a child, but he seems to be having a good time. He won for was it screenplay, wasn't it?
I guess so.
I think he won screenplay. Yeah. Just look these things up. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about Green Book. Everything I've read has been horrific.
Yeah, like it offends my sensibilities in so many ways. I just think it's not a story that should ever be told from a white perspective.
No, and when
especially
the family
not a racist
involved,
one.
when the family involved are saying we weren't consulted, this is lies and it's wrong. Like surely you go, well, maybe we should go back to the drawing board or not let this film have been released in that state. But I don't know.
So there you go. Don't see it, maybe, unless you really want to, I suppose. But maybe watch another movie.
Well, that's the weird. Like, it will get seen because that's the way the Oscars works now, where they don't release things at the last minute, so everyone can see it. And also, I know from overhearing conversations in work where some of, let's say, the older, whiter people in my office all said they very much enjoyed, quote unquote, the Green Book.
Yeah,
that also annoys me massively. Add the thing for no reason.
The Batman.
Well, no, the Batman's fine. That's been his name before, but no one calls it the Green Book.
Yes.
What did Spike Lee win? I'm trying to find out.
So yeah, what do we want to talk about next? Do we want to go for the favourite, or do we want to?
I think we'll leave the favourite to last. That's like,
all right.
It's the nebulously Irish connected one, and also probably my favourite one of the ones that we're going to talk about. So
that's fair.
Do you know about Beale Street?
Yeah. So this is what I saw just before.
Sorry, just say he won.
Go on.
Adapted screenplay, I think. Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Yes, it was definitely very cool.
Yeah, actually, that's a shame because I think if Beale Street could talk, probably should have.
Well, everyone's saying that's the one that should have won most things this year.
Yes, I agree. It was really, really wonderful. I agree it's maybe like a slight bit below Moonlight, but it's still much better than I think anything else. Yeah, you were talking earlier about sort of male assault against men. Yeah, and I mean, that was incredibly hard to watch if Beale Street talk after seeing. Did you see there's a video out about sexual assault on men played for laughs? Right. Like it was basically an analysis of it by Pop Culture Detective.
Okay,
it's really, really good, and it like looks a lot at like how problematic like rape jokes are. Obviously they are incredibly, we already know that, but it's looking at the ubiquity of them along with everything else. And so watching this movie, which is about a young black couple who kind of discover while the man is in jail that the woman is pregnant, and essentially it's them like trying to figure out how the hell they're going to work through this, while also trying to deal with the fact that the guy's been put in jail for being accused of rape, which he didn't do, and so it's also dealing then with the fact that a woman is essentially coerced into accusing him. Right. Like it's very.
I have to say the trailer made this a lot more lighthearted and happy-go-lucky.
Okay, yes.
This apparent plot is.
It's really pretty bleak, dark stuff.
Right.
Great. And it's sort of, I'm kind of I guess a little bit uncomfortable with the fact that it is about a false rape accusation, but it is nuanced. It is dealt with very well. Like essentially, it's clear that this woman was, for whatever reason, told like you accuse this guy or else. Like it's dealing with a whole lot of stuff, and it's got the same kind of amazing soundtrack, same incredible visuals as Moonlight did, and yeah, like great great performances. Like, it really probably should have won everything. Yeah, it's really sad.
And well, like, I think acting wise, only got the one nomination, didn't it? Just for best supporting actress.
Yeah,
that's all I got, and she won it, which is good.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
It is weird it wasn't a best picture nomination.
Yeah,
Very
I wonder,
weird.
is it a thing of like, if
They don't want to do it.
they don't want to do it so
but they
close
gave her
again?
Shally like
Yeah.
2 in a row, basically. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
it's
it just feels like someone went, we balance here, guys.
both
It's
sides,
really gross.
etc.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons I've heard not in favor of, but explaining Green Book is that, like, obviously it utterly ignores systemic racism and just kind of goes, well, both sides. And like, well, no, not the world. Yeah. So I suppose the only other one that I've seen that you haven't seen is the Melissa McCarthy one.
Oh, yes.
Can You Forgive Me, which I thoroughly enjoyed. So that's about Lee Israel, who is was a real person. She's dead now. That was very flippant. She's dead. No.
And we're sad about it.
we are. She probably.
Yes.
So she was a sort of failing, floundering writer, and then fell into fraudulently writing letters and correspondence from famous people and selling them, and eventually the FBI caught up with her and arrested her. And all that jazz.
Okay.
Liz McCarthy obviously plays her, and actually funny because the Razzies I think were last night or this morning.
Yeah.
Liz McCarthy won worst for simultaneously Happy Time Murders.
Okay.
So Happy Time, and what was the one where she was about to college again? Life of the Party.
Yeah.
Like, she won the same award for both of those.
Oh, wow.
But then also won the Razzies do some kind of thing where it's like comeback award or something. She also won that for Can You Forgive Me. So she actually, like, it balanced out that she got one for like You're Great and one for like You're Terrible.
Oh, okay.
Weird. I didn't know they even had like a good award in the Razzies, but they do. So she won that.
Okay.
Too.
That's
weird.
Nice, I guess.
It is nice, I suppose. I mean, Happy Time Murders, it sounded terrible, so I'm sure probably not her fault.
Yeah.
Also, she's been in some crap. Like, The Boss was terrible. I've heard Tammy's dreadful. So yeah,
Okay.
she's great in this. She's very affable. I think it definitely suits her more, I guess, like her more bridesmaidsy sort of acerbic side. And I think the way they portray Lee Israel is that if you knew her in real life, I'm sure I'd hate her. I think she'd be an insufferable person to be around. But she's incredibly fun as a protagonist / kind of, I suppose, almost villain of her own movie. Richard D. Grant obviously was great. If I have one issue with the film, it's that it's sort of in keeping with Bohemian Rhapsody, actually. It very pointedly doesn't address the AIDS elephant in the room, despite it being present.
Okay.
So Richard D. Grant's character in real life died of AIDS, and near the end of the film you see him very visibly suffering the effects of it, and after being in a clinic and stuff, and they never once mention it by name, which is really odd, especially given that the scene takes place in a gay bar.
Oh, jeez.
Where there's in frame, in focus on the window, a pink triangle with like the Silence Equals Death in the shot, yet they're not saying it. I don't know, like, what choice that was. Are they trying to kind of like, is it intentional or was it an accident? Like, it can't have been an accident because like the sticker is so clearly in focus that you can read it, and yet they're just not mentioning what this man is dying. It's so weird. Did someone think that was clever? Like, I don't know. I don't understand the choice, and I'm kind of fascinated by it, but I'm baffled by it at the same time. So that's like the one thing that kind of stuck out to me. Otherwise, it is a lot of fun. It is quite an affecting kind of portrait of her, because she did seem like she had a very lonely life, and like her cat is like her one friend, and there's a very kind of tragic bit with that, and it's a proper emotional film. Okay, but it is very funny. It's really good fun, and I actually bought the book. I haven't read it yet, but I bought the book afterwards to read it because it just seems like a really fun little tale of debauchery and, you know, sticking it to the man. Once again, capitalism has failed. Therefore, people turn to crime. Even though I think it's baffling that the FBI would get involved in like forged letters of famous people. Like, that's amazing. Much,
Definitely.
So that would have been a better winner than Green Book, but alas. So actually, so of those 8, what would you have said should have got Best Picture?
Yeah, hang on. Beale Street isn't in them, right?
No.
Okay.
So if Beale Street was there, it would be that one.
Yes, it would be.
But failing that.
Ooh. I mean, I think I would say The Favourite.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
probably.
Like I'd be quite happy to have seen Black Panther win, but like it's probably
that would have been mad, wouldn't it?
It would have been great.
Well,
sort of.
I mean,
I don't know. Well, I did hear a good point, which was that it's weird that that the thing it probably should have been nominated for was Best Supporting Actor.
Black Panther.
Yeah. As in
For Andy Serkis?
For Killmonger.
Yes, sorry, that's the more logical answer.
Yeah.
Yes, actually.
That would have been good, but I mean, it probably shouldn't have won Best Picture. So, but it would have been kind of funny, I guess.
It would have been really funny.
Yeah. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
I think I would say his favorite. Although I do think Spider-Verse should have been the Best Picture nominee, so the Best Animated nominee. Because I feel like there's often overlap. I think Toy Story is like one of the few examples that made both.
Yeah. Maybe you need like a Tom in it.
I probably need a Tom. They had a Mahershala. They like him.
That's true.
Yeah, I think Black Panther would have been very funny. I think for the optics, I wouldn't have minded like Black Klansman winning, even though I didn't love that. I liked it quite a lot. Again, anything but what won would have been. Even Bohemian Rhapsody probably would have been a better choice. Completely forgotten the other film I was going to mention there. But yes, the favourite probably... Roma. Roma seemed like the obvious one to win.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like it was going to, but there you go.
But then, like, those little Oscar tell-alls that come out every few weeks, and the anonymous ones, and a few of them were saying, like, well, it's very nice looking, but it's very boring. And I was like, well, at least you're honest. Yes, the favourite, I was looking forward to it for a while anyway, because I quite like Yorgos, and I love that cast, and the trailer was very kind of silly looking, and it did not disappoint. I'm kind of impressed all three leads got nominated. Fairly, I mean, I'd say they're all lead actresses, really, but if you're going to have to delineate it, yes, lead to Olivia Colman and supporting the two, fine. I think if only one of them could win, the right one won, because again, I love Emma Stone, I really love Rachel Weisz. Rachel Weisz deserves every award you give her, but Colman just is a delight of a human being, and I'm glad she won it.
Yeah.
I've seen it twice now, and it's still as funny second time round. And I know there was a joke going around that the fishbowl lens is obnoxious, even though it's in like maybe 3 shots in total. I don't know why people brought it up so much, but
was it sort of because it wasn't there so a lot, so sort of odd when it did pop up?
I guess so, but see, I spotted it in one shot the first time around, and then the joke started. And I assumed it was just in every shot, and I just wasn't noticing it. But it's only literally in it is only
and it does seem to be trying to indicate something about like a change in point of view or something. Like I think there is some, like, I don't know what it is, but it did feel like they were trying to do some sort of fourth wall breaking thing.
That seems very possible. Yeah. I do think the ending on a first viewing kind of threw me. Like, I sort of got it, but also that's a weird place to end. But actually, it's quite fitting in hindsight. And the film also has what is, to my mind, probably the best rape joke in any film in several years. Do you recall it? When Emma Stone's in bed and your man comes in and she goes, "Are you here to is it seduce me or rape me?" And he goes, "I'm a gentleman." He goes, "Rape it is," just lies down. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's how you do a good rape joke, guys. Where the onus is not on the victim, but on the perpetrator.
Very true, yes.
Anyway, very good joke. I'm still shocked that it got the sort of mainstream attraction that it did, and that it's very offbeat. Like, it is a period drama ostensibly, but it's also like an absolute farce. But it's also a very dirty farce. Like, it's and again, like, female sexuality so rarely gets talked about. What was that film we were talking about? Oh, last year with Shape of Water.
Oh yeah,
where also that sort of did it too. And I was like, it's odd that, because especially American audiences and American institutions are so notoriously afraid of female sexuality that a film that so overtly uses it like this one does is odd that it's gotten all this praise. I'm glad, like, it's great, but it's so strange.
This is probably a little bit over or exaggerating to say so, but could we say like female sexuality was the winner of this?
I mean, you can Oscars? Say that.
Okay, soundbite there.
Yeah, I'll retweet that. I'm not going to say it myself. I feel like I can't. But
yeah, actually, it's funny. Someone brought up a great point, which is, I suppose, suppose the ending is so like odd that it is hard to kind of figure out what's happening maybe at first, but kind of people were pointing out like, well, first of all, like, yay, none of the lesbian or queer characters died, yay, and other people being like, that's good, but isn't it weird that that's such a low bar that literally death like
no, it is a low bar. No one's saying it's not a low bar. But the low bar was still just about leftovers.
Yeah, so. That's it. And but it's surviving till the end of the film, I suppose, is something.
And it's something for the straights as well, because they end up in a loveless marriage of sorts where no one's happy and they're stuck together.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, everyone can be as unhappy as the straights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and his career is an odd one because I did like The Lobster an awful lot. Killing of a Sacred Deer, I wasn't as hot on just because it's. Have you seen that?
I watched it actually. Yeah, just like last month.
It's an odd film.
Yeah, I watched it on my birthday with my family. It was not a good plan.
That's not a family film.
No.
Least of all for subject matter, but also just not a fun watch. It's such a stifling film. It's so awkward and I don't know if it's meant to be the real world or some like alternate Yorgos world where everyone talks like that.
Yeah, and actually, funny. My dad had a very good point, which was like that because from seeing the trailer for The Favourite, he was sort of like, okay, so those characters speak very strangely because they live in a very strange, oppressed society where they haven't kind of grown up in a normal way, I guess. But there isn't really that excuse for Killing of a Sacred Deer at all. That is just the world that they inhabit. Yeah. And I mean, I think it works for The Lobster. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Because The Lobster sets up its own rules whereby there is this technology that makes you into animals. So it already it diverges from our world anyway. So it's pointedly not our universe and it's fine. Whereas Sacred Deer just ostensibly could be the real world apart from the curse fairy tale aspect, which isn't even necessarily that dwelt upon. Like it's sort of obviously they all die from it inexplicably, but it's never made to seem magical, even though it has to be for it to work on a structural level. Although I mean, like they don't actually die, right? Oh, sorry. Well, yeah. So I mean, potentially they get paralyzed. Yeah. I mean, it is very unlikely that they wouldn't not die, but there's still, I suppose, that element of maybe that he was lying all along. Yeah, I suppose. He's probably not, though, because he did somehow make them all paralyzed. Yes. So there you go. I do still remember just that. This is massively off topic. The bit near the end when Colin Farrell's like spinning around with the gun blindfolded. Oh Jesus! I couldn't stop laughing. Yeah, it's actually so funny. Yeah, really funny. Actually, like I thought Barry Keoghan I found him so funny. Like, I think I just had to laugh because otherwise I would be like terrified. Yeah, that's the thing. It's a weird line, and because I haven't seen Dogtooth, but as far as I know, Dogtooth's sort of a similar tone. Whereas, like The Lobster and The Favourite are just so. Like there's bits of darkness to them for sure, but they are definitely more farcical and whimsical than and I'm creepy and weird. That's it. And like, I mean, I'm not so sure. Maybe in The Lobster, but definitely like in The Favourite. I mean, there's a lot of love going on. It's really weird and not like happy love, but like there is genuine like connection and I quite like that little speech Rachel Weisz gives where she's says, like if you'll look like a badger some days and I'll tell you that, like that's true love. That's like fucked up, but you're right. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I suppose you were saying earlier, like, why did it get the sort of mainstream attention it did? I guess. I mean, I suppose one thing is that it is still ostensibly period drama about that's like the thing, British characters, which, as we know, always wins American over. So I don't know if that had an appeal, and I think. I found as well actually that the fact that they did drop this sort of stiltedness of the dialogue kind of quickly. I found so I don't know whether it was just like kind of veering towards not being normal but more normal than his usual stuff. I suppose because you're right. The opening scenes definitely have a much more quote unquote like period feel to them, and then it quickly just becomes everyone's still talking in a sort of faux, almost not quite Shakespearean, but like a faux oldie speak anyway, but it is definitely lessened by the half an hour mark. That's me top of that, I suppose. That's true. But I mean, definitely thought it was an enjoyable film. Thoroughly, and it didn't win. No. Well, it won some things, I suppose. Yeah. It's just it couldn't stop the tide of the Green Book. I think what was the final tally? Was it 4 for Bohemian Rhapsody, 3 for Black Panther, and then like 1 or 2 for that, I think. Okay. I mean, I suppose Black Panther did come second in overall tally, which is weird as well. Actually, the one other Oscar that I was annoyed about was visual effects, because First Man won it, and maybe they were very good in the First Man. I didn't see it. Okay. But I think Infinity War should have won that. Like that Thanos design and model was like incredible looking. That looked so much like a real person. Compare it to even like Steppenwolf or like
Tarkin in Rogue One. Like, I believed Thanos was a real living thing. Like, that was a just excellent job of visual effects and like performance and Josh Brolin's part, but mainly just the visual effects. And yet it didn't win.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure space looked lovely, but I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts? Should we try and find a way to loop this back around itself, or create like branching timelines, keep the theme going,
Yes,
or perform a heist, or do both at once?
Just, go and find our mummies. I miss her.
Yeah. So on that note, find your mummy.
Yes. Don't kill her or anyone else.
At least not in the pursuit of some kind of genius work of art.
Yes.
If you're not, if you're a woman, it's fine. You'll look it on. You'll make amends if you're grand. All right. So thanks for listening.
Yes.
See you next time.
Bye.
Find your mummy.